welcome to another episode of Ellie Plays Minecraft with me, Ellie the Elegant Elephant. And last episode we've been working a lot on details, so we're actually gonna kind of continue on that. So today I want to work on this path here that goes through the forest that leads from my starter house to Lumbria. And I also want to expand the path that it actually goes to the farmville and through the graveyard. So we're gonna establish this connection. But if you take a look at this forest right now, it doesn't look very foresty, does it? I mean, it's just grass with some spruce trees on it. So today we're gonna change that. And because I don't have the time and the energy or the talent to make all custom trees, I want to show you the techniques I use to spruce up a forest like this and make it look more like a forest. Like, we're gonna have bigger trees, it's gonna be much more dense. The forest floor is actually gonna look like a forest floor and not just like grasslands. We're gonna have loads of foliage on the ground and on the trees. And we're gonna have, well, much more trees, and they're gonna be much bigger. So let's get started. To make this floor look more like a forest floor, we're first gonna just replace most of the grass blocks here with coarse dirt and soul sand, because I think soul sand is like really earthy block. It looks like this moist, nice earth you find in a forest. It has a nice texture to it. So we just make a little palette here. And we're also gonna add in some podzol every now and then. So basically we're just gonna change the color of the floor from green to brown. Because the forest floor doesn't have grass on it. It's mostly earth and leaves and twigs. Now we have our nice little brown palette here. As you can see, most of the blocks are replaced. And now we can add in some leaves here and there. Make this tree more bushy, because I also want to hide the backside of the mine. So we can also add in some leaves in the floor, that's always really nice. And I'm just gonna place them a bit haphazardly, just gonna have some bushes here and there. And this already looks much nicer than before. So now I also want to add some ferns. You can bone meal those, make them bigger as well. And of course we also want to place down some rocks. They give us a nice contrast in color, and it's also, well, you get rocks and boulders and stuff like that in a forest, so that's really cool. And it really helps break up the brown greenishness of everything. And then later on we can use green carpets on them as moss. And you can also use some brown carpets on the floor eventually. And yeah, this already looks so much nicer. Then we can add in some different leaf textures, like the oak leaves. And now we can also add some berry bushes. They will grow up and give us a nice red dot of color every now and then. And of course, we can also place some mushrooms every now and then. And we can also add some buttons as little rocks. And I also like to use the dark oak buttons as mushrooms. It's always a nice little addition. So yeah, this is about the floor design. And now let's move on and see what we can do about those trees. So if you take a look at this pathway right now, there's loads of trees, and so of course we cannot customize every tree, so we need to be a bit more creative than that, and we need to find a solution on how we can achieve a nice result with a manageable effort. So let me show you some techniques I use for that. So one problem I often encounter in this forest is I chop down a tree, but the leaves are connected to the tree next to it, and they will just not despawn. So we get those ugly overhangs like this here. So we have to fix those today as well. So first of all, let's get rid of all those ugly leaf overhangs. And well, for some trees like this one, it just makes sense to chop down the whole tree, because it's much faster than customize the whole leaves again. So now I want to show you the first technique I use. So first of all, we need a tree. So let's plant one. And now we actually need to fix the leaf problem again. So let's pillar up here and cut the connection so the other leaves can just despawn. And now let's get further up to the top, or at least near the top. And here we're gonna place another piece of dirt. And yeah, you probably guessed it right, we're gonna place another sapling here. Then of course we get rid of the dirt and connect the two trees with logs. And now let's take a look at that. And of course, this is not a great tree yet, so we need to work a little bit on it. But it's also not the worst kind of tree, because it has a nice height, it has a nice volume. So for forest in the background, like a little bit further away from the path, it actually works just like that, and we don't need to do anything about it. Because we're not gonna look at it directly ever. So now we can do this to all the other trees in the background as well. We can just climb on the tree, place another tree, and if we're lucky we get a nice tree spawned, and then we can just leave it like that. So if we have a tree like that in the foreground, we need to do a little bit more work. So we climb up and give it a little bit of a haircut. And spruce trees typically are very thin at the top, so we're gonna cut off a little bit here. So we're gonna add a little bit more height, and then we're gonna cut a little bit of the leaves around it. These here are good. And now these here we need to cut a little bit. And if we hop one further down, we do the same. We just cut a little bit on the edges until we are at the bottom and we get a nice slope of leaves basically. So here we need to fill up the gap, and we want this to be at least as wide as the lowest leaves from the top tree. Now let's take a look at the whole tree. Yes, that looks much better already. So obviously we do want more of those. But yeah, the bottom layer can use a little bit more cutting, at least for my taste. I like my trims a little bit more slimmer on the bottom. And there we go. We have a nice finished tree. And it didn't take all day. So depending on where you place this double tree, you need to do a little bit more or less work. So if it's in the background, you can mostly just leave it as it is. If it's in the foreground, just give it a little bit of a haircut and it will be fine. So another technique to make the forest more dense and give it more height is actually to use the 2x2 trees. But as with the other spruce trees, sometimes you get really lucky with the big trees and sometimes they're just not as nice and they need a little bit more work. So the easiest solution for an ugly big tree is actually to cover it up a bit with smaller trees around it. So let me do that real quick. So depending on how lucky you get with these trees, you need to modify them as well. So in my case, I wasn't too lucky, so I doubled them up. And they're still very ugly, so we're gonna give all of them a nice haircut. Now this looks much better already. And these two trees I will finish later. First, I want to show you some more techniques I use. One of them is very easy. We just start by pillaring up on some logs, and place some dirt and add a sapling and grow it. And then connect the logs. And boom, custom trees. And sometimes it works better, sometimes we get this. So this one just needs a little bit of a trim at the bottom, then I guess it's alright. Also because it's placed way in the background. So the look I'm going for with this technique is actually that I want to see a lot of tree trunks if we walk through this path, as you would see in a real spruce forest. So we need to have more density in the tree trunks department. And now if we take a look from over here, you can already see how much better it already looks. So bear in mind, with these techniques the individual trees will not look great, but in the end it will add up and the forest will look great. So we still have a lot of work to do. And another technique is, if you have a tree that's already relatively nice, like this one, we just take off a little bit of the leaves from the bottom because we don't want it to look like a Christmas tree. And then we climb up and add a little bit of leaves at the top. So we give it a little bit more height and we slim it down a bit, I guess. Just like that, it looks like a tree that would belong in a big forest like ours. And yeah, again, on its own, this tree is not great, but it's adding to the bigger picture, and that's what we're going for. So the next thing you can do to add more density to your forest is by adding basically just tree trunks in the very background. And for this you can also use different kinds of logs. So I also like to use dark oak log because the coloring is very similar. So for now this is a really nice technique to get a lot more density really fast and cheap. And to get more variations in your forest, you can also replace some of the tree trunks with dark oak logs so they don't have all the same color. I guess berries are a good food if you're hungry and you want 200 of something. So another thing you can add to your forest is some actual tree stumps, like this. So this will give the impression that people came through and chopped down some of the trees, especially to make this pathway here. And you can strip some of those and just leave some of those as they are. So it gives the impression that some of them are older or newer cut. And it just adds this little bit of variations as well. And these stamps actually also help with the storytelling because they actually tell the story of the path being made by cutting down the trees. It's not just a natural path. So we bring in the human element basically. So now I'm gonna work on those trees and we'll soon be back. So we are back, and as you can see, we have now this nice, dense, very high forest around us, and it's already looking really cool. But now I want to continue the floor design we have right here all the way to our starting house. So we will be right back. And we are back, and let's just walk through our lovely new path so you can see how much nicer it looks now. It really feels like a big forest now. It really adds so much, and just remember, it's just a few blocks on every side of the path. So I really like how this turned out. So we finished building the path, and now let's move on to the area around our starter house. So if we turn around, you can see behind me, this area looks a bit boring right now. So we're gonna work on that. And the first thing I want to do is actually convert this river here into a big lake. I think that's gonna be really cool. So all this area here we will fill up with water. We will remove some of the trees. We will create a nice little stream that goes down here. And then over here we will block it off. And we will build a little dam. So let me fill up this lake and we will be right back. We are back, and as you can see, I filled up the whole lake, so that turned out really cool. And I ran into some pillagers, so we got the bad omen effect. So I'm sorry this time lapse might have been a bit boring. In my head it looked much cooler, so I'm sorry about that, guys. So now I still want to work on the area around the house and on the dam, so we have a nice little bridge we can walk over, and then we create a river that flows to Amberfields, and we will continue on the path through the graveyard to Amberfields as well. So yeah, let me work on that for a bit. So I've been busy building the dam, and as you can see, it's made out of stone bricks and some chiseled stone blocks. And now let's take a look at it. So we do have those little thingies that water flows through, and we still need to terraform the edges around. They don't look that nice right now. And yeah, it's a really simple design. We have it on both sides. Just have those little archways. And if we walk over, we can see the path continues on. And yeah, we still need to terraform this path here. As you can see, this is not done yet. So we head over the graveyard here. And then over here is our little church. And down there is going to be the bridge that leads to Amberfields, which we can see in the background there. So yeah, we still have a lot of work to do. So let's get to it. So I am back, and as you can see, I've been very, very busy. So I planted a nice little forest around my starter house. And changed the floors and everything. So yeah, this is now really nice looking. And behind me is the dam. It's also finished. So yeah, let's take a look around. So we have here a little signpost that tells us where to go. So this way we have Lumbria and Amberfields. So let's head over to Amberfields right now. And now I still need to finish this mountainside. Planted some trees. I still haven't done the pathway, but yeah, I planted all those trees here, so we have a little bit of forest starting. And then if we head down here, I prepared some materials to build the bridge. So this will actually be a diagonal bridge, which is going to be a bit tricky, but I think it's going to look much cooler than just straight over. And yeah, I guess now it's time to start building this bridge. we are back, and as you can see, the bridge is finished. So now let's take a look at it. So I really like this design. It uses a lot of cobblestone walls as pillars, but it gives us this really nice and light design. And we added this little roof with some lanterns in it. They added some mossy cobble bricks just to give it a bit of variations. And yeah, I really need to plant more trees in the background because the dirt and the spruce kind of blends together and does show really nicely. And it doesn't give us a really nice contrast. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if we head over here, we can see this really nicely. Here we have the yellow background and it really pops against it. And also with the grass in the background, we probably need to plant more grass there and we will extend the fields. But over here where we have the dirt, it just kind of blends in because it's sort of the same color. So we will definitely need to plant more trees there and on this side as well. But now, let's head over our lovely bridge. And I really like the campfires as a floor design here. I think that looks really cool. So over here I extended the pathway, I planted some trees and leaves and ferns and whatnot. So it just looks nicely grown and a bit wild. So yeah, we can take a look at the bridge from up here. And yeah, I think it turned out really cool. We still need to finish the last bit of path there, but as you can see, I have lovely particles, which means we still have the bad omen effect. And actually we do have the bad omen effect too right now. So yeah, we don't want to head into the village just yet. So now let's head over and I will show you what I did at my starter base. This is all nicely overgrown here, as you can see. Then we come over here. I did some rock works, just a little bit. I still need to finish all the way up top, but I will do that in between episodes, I think. And then over here we have our new grown forest, and I really like this little boat docking little dock. How do you call a little dock like that? I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not a native English speaker. So up here I still have to do something, I guess. But yeah, here we have our lovely signpost. It tells us Amberfields this way, Lumbria that way, and most importantly, Ellie's house that way. So if we head around here, we will walk through this forest. Here we can see the house a bit. Here we can see our lovely little cat Mao. And on this side here, we again have a signpost telling us which way to go. Here we have our little stable. We still have the fields. I'm not quite sure if I want to keep those because I actually don't really need them. We have a little bridge going over a stream. I think I want to keep those little tiny fields. They make more sense than the bigger ones over there. But I'm not quite sure what to put there. Maybe just forest or some flowers, like a flower garden next to the pond. And then maybe we can add some fish in. That would be kind of cool. And here we have a nice view of the dam. I think now it really blends in. But yeah, as said before, we still need to do the mountain a bit. And obviously all around the lake. There's a lot of work to do. I still have some trees in the water here, which I will need to fix, but because they're so nice and big, I just left them as they are for now. And in case you're wondering, this over there is actually a zombie spawner I once found, and I just marked it out, so I guess we're gonna build a little docking station over there, just like this one, so we can boat over there and grind us some zombies. Because for those of you who don't know yet, I'm actually using a data pack where I'm able to smelt rotten flesh into leather, and because I'm using a lot of item frames and stuff like that, leather is a nice resource for me, and it's an easy way to get it. Because so I actually vowed to never kill cows, pigs and sheep and so on, because yeah, I just don't want to kill animals in this series. So yeah, this is a nice way for me to get leather. So now, yeah, let's do the item of the episode now. So for the item of the episode, I chose it to be this sapling, because obviously we planted a lot of saplings. And we're gonna name it Forest of Lumbria. There we go, and our anvil just broke. Now, for the next episode, I think I want to make use of the bad omen effect. So maybe we should trigger a raid, maybe we should get a bigger bad omen effect. So let me know down in the comments what you would like to see. So sadly, this has been all I've had time for today. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Ellie the Elegant Elephant, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Bye!